Hello, this is David, and this video might be of interest to you if you are thinking of starting a gardening business, and especially if you're changing career or you're over 40, over 50 or 60, later in life. But it could be useful for anyone, really. I'm just sharing my experience on this, the 31st of August, 2025, because it's a kind of a momentous point for me. 30 years ago today was my last day working the day job with in a community access program for adults with learning differences, and I enjoyed the work, and I just knew it was time for a change. And on the 1st of September, it was my first day of being on my own, self-employed. I was my own income. And I was really nervous about that, but it had been coming for some time that I needed to make the shift. And I'm wondering if there's some of you watching this that are thinking the same thing, that I'm not quite happy where I am. It works, but it's not really fulfilling me. And I just wanted to share my story 30 years on, as though I was talking to the David that was back there in 1995, wondering about branching out on my own. And so I would say I've really enjoyed my 30 years of gardening. I'm still working, I'm still learning, I'm still growing in all aspects, both professionally, but also spiritually and emotionally through the work that I've done with so many people over the years. Just a quick little bit about me, and then I'll get to answering some really important questions that you might have, like, can I make any money? And do I know enough to be professionally doing this? And what's the security in this? What happens in the winter? What happens if I don't get enough customers, etc.? Well, I'll get into that, but just briefly, let me say that I started out in agriculture in England. I was born in England, and my academic education was all about growing things, agriculture, and I did that for 15 years, and then I just knew I needed something else. There were a number of factors that pushed me to the edge, and I've got to do something else. And first of all, it was holistic health. I studied body work and holistic health for a few years. I worked with developmentally disabled, as they were called at the time, I think, in England, and I came to America. I started out working in a community access program, and I was rising through the ranks of that and thinking, oh, okay, that's my new goal, that's where I'm going. And then I got passed over for a promotion, a large promotion, where I'll be managing a new facility. And because I realized now that I wasn't really equipped for that, or it wouldn't have really fulfilled me. And I had the same thing when I tried teaching agriculture, that a number of people said, you could do this, but it won't fulfill you. It's not who you are. So I think it's important for us to recognize who we are inside and what what our heart is calling forth, if you like. And hopefully, if you've got to this point in the video and you're liking it so far, you'll stay with me for a bit longer, because I'm not talking about any kind of gardening. I'm talking about if you recognize me, or if you have any resonance with who you think I might be, then this could definitely be for you. So I took the plunge when I didn't get this job, and I got to work on my own. Now, from holistic health, I always got the message, don't give up the day job until you know you can make it. Don't become the massage therapist or whatever it is, the Reiki therapist, until you'll actually know when it's time. And I felt that came for me. I know I can't stay small any longer. I have to grow to the next stage. I have to shed my skin and take the risk of going out on my own. Now, I'd already been working on my own evenings and weekends for almost 2 years, I think. And I got a little truck, and I didn't have much in the way of equipment. I had a mower from a flea market, and people would give me some tools, and it was very low input that I had, investment in the business. And to add to this, I was getting a lot of clients, and one of them was going to sell their house. And so I started work on the 1st of September 1995, and in early October I signed a lease option on buying a house, $200,000 at the time. It's now, I think it's 900 or something like that. And it was a huge risk because I was giving up the security of my day job, which my heart said, you can't do this any longer, you need more. And I was doing something I loved doing, the gardening, but also I need to make this money. I can't say, well, it was a bit slow this month. The good news is I never looked back. I thought, starting in September, what about when I catch up with all the work that is behind me now? Everybody, when can you get here? When can you get here? Well, not to worry, because it just went on and on and on. And I worked all the way through the winter. And so now speaking to the job security thing, there's something you can do. I'm in Northern California, it's a Mediterranean climate. There's always something to do through the winter. There's cleaning up right on through to December. Then there's winter pruning, there's fruit trees, there's all sorts of trees that need taken care of in the shorter days. And there's always something to do, it seems. And then when spring comes, it's almost like a panic as far as the weeds are growing, things need heading back, deadheading. So from March to June, it gets really busy. And there's also something where people seem to come alive, their hormones change or something around March, April, and they become expansive and they want to do something outside. So they have a project or something they want to do. Anyway, the security thing, I think it's always there. If you care about people and you care about what you do, and you do good work, you have a good reputation, you take responsibility, and you're conscientious about what you do, I don't think there'd be any problem. Because people, I think, have employed me for who I am, like the gentle spirit in their garden that has their best interests at heart, even if I'm not making as much money as I would if I was selling them something all the time. And also I care about what they're looking for in their space. It is their sacred space. There's a curb appeal, but in the backyard, it's quite an honor to be going into people's backyards all the time and doing things that are kind of unique to them, their idiosyncrasies, their love of roses, their desire to keep a lawn, whatever it is, or they're moving towards growing their own food and fruit trees and all those things. So it is quite an honor to be allowed into someone's backyard and to be part of their life in some way. Well, I've always found work, and once you start working in a neighborhood and someone sees what you do and you start talking to a neighbor across the street or something, they know someone else that wants work done. And it's just gone on from word of mouth like that. I've done very little advertising. So what about, I don't know enough? Well, when I started out, my very first job, while I was still working the day job, was moving a pile of dirt in a backyard. And someone said they'd give me $100 to move this pile of dirt from one side of the yard to the other. And I thought, wonderful, that's great money. And I'm sure I can do well out of that. Well, I probably made $10 or $11 an hour doing that. And I was so happy digging because my day job was so sedentary that I'd been sitting around a lot, and I was going on long bike rides and trying to get some exercise. This was wonderful. And I just enjoyed it. So I didn't need to know anything about plants there. But I gradually, as I got into different gardens, I was always learning, and I'm still learning, and you will never know it all. And I think for me, it's been my personality and my willingness to research and find out exactly what would work here and learn new things. That enthusiasm that I brought to people and just uplifting them as far as, yes, we can do something here. I'm not sure what that shrub's called, but I'll find out. And many people have helped me on the way with this. My friend Mike Langmoreland from the horticultural department at Diablo Valley College, in one of the classes he introduces growy things. So I use that with my clients sometimes. I say, we're going to put growy things in here. And now I've known some people for years, been working with them for years, and they'll say, the growy things that you put back there to screen me from something rather, they're doing really well. Or what's the name of that growy thing that is in the front here that's blue? And so I got a lot of inspiration there from Mike, and thank you. You will never know it all. There's always something to learn. And I'm also a beekeeper, and it's the same thing there. Once you think you've figured it out and you know how things are going to react or respond to what you're doing, no. Something comes up to grow you even more. And so this is where it's been a huge learning and growing experience for me over the years to know that it's never done. It's an ongoing thing. Now that's if you're in the gardening realm. And so perhaps I should say then, what are we talking about with gardening? Well, not really mowing lawns and blowing leaves and shearing things into lollipop shapes. I needed to do that to begin with to get started, and I gradually evolved to a more natural form of creative planting and design that I was more comfortable with. I'll try to keep this video to a reasonable length so that someone will click on it to watch it. If it's too long, I wouldn't want to watch it. But I'm talking about having a resource in you or David, whomever it is, that is so valuable that it's kind of priceless in the sense that you know what your client needs or wants, and you're trying to deliver it to them. Like it could be, I think, as a mentor and a consultant and designer for them, and some of the things they want to do themselves, and you're uplifting them as well. A number of clients have wanted to work with me, so I'm going there on Tuesday afternoon, and they're freeing up some time so that they can be out in the garden with me, so that I can explain a few things to them, and they have questions. Is this plant a little bit dry? Oh, I'm not really happy with this thing over here. Is there something else we can plant here? And so it's like this personal interactive experience that you have with them, and it's worth something. So when I was working with the adults with learning differences, I think the most I was earning there was $9.54 an hour. Of course, you have some benefits with that as well. And that was back in 1995. And I knew some people were making more than that. So when I started out, I think I was $12 and then $15 an hour for a while. So now let's fast forward to June of 1995. I was showing up at a house in a very nice neighborhood at probably 7 o'clock in the evening to do a little bit of maintaining, weeding, cleaning up. And I knew I had 2 hours of daylight there. And the homeowner that had already promoted me to a few other people, she came out with a glass of wine in her hand. And David, what are you doing here now? It's 7 o'clock, time for you to go home. And I'm thinking, no, I can't go home because this is the only time I have. I need to work here because I'm going back to the day job tomorrow. And to condense it a little bit, she said, I want you to go home. This is no time to be showing up, working. You're not being fair to me and you're not being fair to yourself. And from now on, I'm going to pay you $20 an hour, and I'm not going to refer you to anyone else unless you tell me that you're going to charge them $25 an hour, because that's the going rate. And I was absolutely shocked and stunned, and what just happened here? She sent me home, and she's giving me a raise, and she's telling me I'm worth $25 an hour. So I've always had a little difficulty in recognizing my own value. So that was all those years ago. That was 30 years ago. So I'm making $25 an hour there. So I hope I'm addressing the money. Can you make some money in this? So then fast forward to 2004, and I was dating a lady that was not happy with the amount of time that I was spending with her, because I was always working, and it was in the summer months. And she asked me how much time I spent on business development. And at the time, I didn't know what business development was. She needed to explain that to me. And so I said, well, none. I mean, I've got people waiting for me. And, you're not charging enough. And I think at that time, it was 55 or 60 an hour that I was charging. And it was just me then. I'll say more about employees. You might be going in a different direction with this. You might be thinking about employees. I'll say more on that subject on a later date. So she and her daughter did a little bit of research on what they thought I might be worth. And they said, you should charge $75 an hour. $75 an hour for gardening? And yes, there are people doing that. This was in the San Francisco Bay Area, in the East Bay Hills. There are people charging that. And you have to recognize your years of experience and what you know and what you bring to the table. And they can have other people do the mowing and blowing kind of work. And, okay, all right. So I started charging $75 an hour, and I think one or two people dropped out, but generally no. I was almost continued to be as busy as ever. And so fast forward to now, that was all those years ago, 21 years ago. There's been ups and downs. There was the recession, and I had to dip back a little bit to 60 an hour or something there, because a lot of people just didn't have the money. And I lost a lot of clients. Some of them that had two houses, that had me gardening in two houses, and they lost both of them. So that was a little bit of a tough time. But fast forward to now, depending on the situation, my rate is $120 an hour. And that seems to be working for a lot of people, or the people that I want to be working with. And you're not in the market for everyone. And it took a little while to get here, but I'm just saying that you start where you are, and there is a living to be made in gardening, and you're your own boss. You can say, well, I'm not working next Thursday because I need to do something, or I have an appointment, so I can go to this appointment. And so you have to take responsibility for the good times. You have to put some money away. But I would say, it's really something that if you feel called to even look into gardening, whether you're doing it for profit, or whether it's your full-time job, whether it's something that you would like to do so that you can be there for the kids when they come home from school, you do it in the hours that you want to do it, or you're retired but you still need to do something. It's a wonderful form of exercise, one form of yoga. I feel like you're connecting with nature and life all around you. So I highly recommend it. I've had a wonderful time gardening and continue to do that now at 70. And there's a couple of other places that you might look. If you're doing research on just how can I get started, or where do I, so what do I need to know? For one thing, you don't need much in the way of capital investment. You can work out of your home. If you have a car, you can work out of your car. You don't necessarily need to have a mower. And so there's a couple of people on YouTube that I think you might want to check out. And they're kind of different to me as to where I've been with this, but they have something to say. And one is Keith Kalfas. That's Kalfas. He's got a number of videos, and he comes from a different perspective about how to kind of increase dollars, how to get customers, etc., and work with a crew. And if you're thinking of going in that direction, then just check him out. I don't agree with everything he says, but he has some important points that he makes there. The other one is Nicole Burks, and her videos are Gardenary. That's the name of her business, Gardenary. And she really started with nothing, and she's growing food. And it's amazing how she's developed her business around helping people grow their own food. And she's got a model. She's a consultant, I suppose, but she's got a model that she's replicated around the country, and well worth checking out. A very uplifting, inspirational person to speak to you. If you're feeling a bit down, then please check in with her. I have other friends that are in the gardening business that have also done well. They have their ups and downs, and I know of one man in particular that finished his career with banking. He was just done with it. So he had a very behind the desk kind of job. And I know he makes over $100,000 a year with one assistant. And he tends to do more formal gardens and a lot of things like nursing homes and senior centers, office buildings, that kind of thing. So he's not really a plant person, but he knows what looks good. And again, I admire him because of customer care, his integrity, and he will go the extra mile to make sure it's right. And I think that's really important. There's when I did have employees for a short time, one of my employees said, mediocrity is everywhere. And I've remembered that. And so, yeah, you can find somebody to do the job and they'll get paid and they'll go home. But if you can be the person that loves what they're doing, then your customers, your clients will feel that, and they will be uplifted by the fact that you're on their property, in their garden. And I don't know quite how to position it in words, but there's a certain healing, a symbiotic kind of healing back and forth that goes on where you're helping someone express themselves on their property, and they're allowing you to express your creativity and be with plants and be with nature, and it just works. And I don't know, it's a really great feeling. If you're that person that cares and has an open heart that you bring to the situation, and some enthusiasm as well. If you can uplift people by saying, we can fix it, I will fix this, or I will find somebody to fix this for you, I think then you have a good chance of succeeding with your own gardening business. I hope this helps, and I hope in the future I'll make another video that explains more specifics about different aspects of what I've done, what's worked and what hasn't worked so well for my personality, but also what you could do if you were a different person. Anyway, thank you for watching and have fun.